So in today's lesson, we're going to talk about how to add some fun colors to our blues. This is similar to things we've taught in the past, but I'm always trying to sort of sharpen the tip of the spear, or the sword, as they might say. We got some stuff that we're going to be doing, and you can follow along in the early part of the chat here. You can see there's a free PDF you guys can have. If you're not enrolled at my site, workingclassguitar.com, you will be prompted to enroll. If you are enrolled, just log in, click that link. It'll take you right to the lesson. Enrolling is totally free. Just drop your email in, and not only do you get today's PDF, but there's probably over 100 lessons in that free collection that you can peruse and take whatever you want, whether it be a PDF or a backing track. So just a PDF today, but we're going to focus on two little things here in a moment. Yeah, and Jason says the i35 sounds great. It's amazing. I've changed some things up in my live stream setting, guys. I'm using a much less expensive audio interface, and I'm thankful to the EV Electro Voice company. They sent me this RE20 to use. I've always loved RE20 microphones, classic broadcast mic. So yeah, we're talking about the fun jazzy blues stuff, but trying to get it to sound good on all this nice gear. And we will talk about that. Why don't you ask me that a little bit later? If I remember, I'll get to it. All right. So I was playing a blues in G right there. No jazz blues, even though at one point I thought I was going to a 6 dominant and started to go there and realized the chord progression did not. So often when I play by myself, I'll go in between a 1-4-5 or like a 1-6-2-5 just for fun. But what I like to do is, I'm a huge fan of the arpeggio substitution, and we teach this a lot at Working Class Guitar, but in this live YouTube setting, I thought it would be a nice opportunity. So anytime you have a G7 like that, if you take the notes of a D minor 7 arpeggio, D, F, A, and C, you get some really fun, colorful tones over top of that G7 chord. You get, obviously, the 5th with the D, the flat 7 with the F, the A. Pull my mic. Sorry, guys. Haven't figured out how to navigate the mic totally. So we have 5th, flat 7, and then a 9. So you get a cool G9 sound against that chord. And then you get a C if you want it. And that'll give you sort of like a sus or an 11 type of sound. But it goes by quickly enough that your ear just goes, oh, what was that? Oh, and if you're an astute player that understands this stuff, you're on to the next idea. In this case, what I was doing sometimes, what I was playing maybe a D minor 7 to a G7. And this is the first thing I show in the PDF. That little idea. So what that's doing is it's playing a D minor 7, because that works well over the G7, and then I go right to another G7 arpeggio right here, just on those top 4 strings. Then I have B, G, F, D, and it makes for a really good setup to the 4 chord, and I just have it transcribed going to the root. So if I'm here playing blues, a 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's maybe how you might want to use it. I put it pretty straightforward, just in eighth notes. So I might do something like this. So that's a fun way to approach your 4 chord in the blues and get you that jazzier type of sound. Now, just over the 1 chord, you could play and just play. You could play that D minor 7 over a G7 chord, but to me, the ear always wants to hear a 3rd or a flat 7 or something that's a little bit closer to just the G7 tonality. There's some reasons why that D minor 7 to the G7 works, which we want to talk about, and this is a little deeper topic, and somebody's going to jump on here and go, you taught this in a True Fire course. You taught this in a working class guitar course. Yeah, but there's people on here that haven't heard it, so we want to make sure that we get as much information out to the people for as low cost as turning on your YouTube app it can be. What happens oftentimes in music is when we want to go from a G7 to a C7, we have the G7, which is the fifth of C7. But what we can do momentarily is sort of substitute a 2-5 chain, a 2-5 progression, sort of like what's the word I'm looking for? It's eluding me. But we're kind of implying. That's it. We're implying a 2-5-1 type of change to that chord. And I don't like to go too far in the weeds with this because I just want you to get used to the D minor 7 sound over top of that G7. Because if you know your G7 arpeggios, you know they always work. But what we're doing when we play that D minor 7 to G7 is we're setting up the chord that is coming next, which is our C9 or C7. So think about you're playing a D minor 7, that's like the 2 of C. G7's like the 5 of C. So you're doing almost like a 2-5 into that 4 chord. And I always thought that was really fun as long as you didn't go. Now, we teach it that way so your ear can wrap around it and you can really hear it. But I like to... Oh, my light went out. Whoops. Well, that stinks. I thought I had it charged. But it didn't mess with my scene too much. But in any case, the D minor 7 works so well over that G7, and I use it not just for blues, but for R&B and funk too. So I'm going to delete my little blues loop right there, which I'm going to regret because we're going to need it again later. And I like using the looper live instead of tracks because I can control it a little bit. But if I'm playing like... and I got a nice G7 loop happening there, what I can do is I can play this D minor 7... that C doesn't even sound too bad when you sit on it. But check it out if I launch from it and then play minor pentatonic. So G minor pentatonic, G minor pentatonic. So... may have made that a little fast. Let's slow it down a little bit. Let's try it one more time. Let's see if I get this thing to actually work. There we go. So here's the arpeggio. So if I'm going for broke live, and I'm playing something with some gain, maybe my bridge pickup's on, I might go... So what I'm trying to do there is basically play little D minor 7 ideas over top of my G minor pentatonic ideas. And I also have G7 as well, so I can go... and I can punctuate at different times with what I want. So D minor 7 over G7, great idea to use that. If you're playing in a real sort of dominant, type of situation, whether it be blues or a one-chord funk tune or that sort of thing. So that little line I put is in the free PDF. And I did something else too, and forgive me because I'm going to have to, getting text here, didn't turn my phone off. There we go. So one other thing I did, which was kind of fun, and you hear this sort of thing every once in a while. And if Lachlan is still on the chat, he does this probably in his Western swing stuff, which I'm no expert at all. But you can take things like little ideas like that where we're playing. And what we did there was, let me go back to so I can see you guys, because I currently couldn't see right there. What I did there, and that's also written out in that free PDF, is I played an E minor triad. Let's talk about this. Down to an E flat triad. Down to a D minor triad. Maybe slide into the third of C7 right there. So if I'm playing, that would be how the line would sound. Let's see if I can do it by myself. So like 2, 3, 4. So what's cool there is you're getting the E triad, or the E minor triad, which is technically also like a G6, E, G, B. So we have a 13 of G, the root, the fifth, E flat triad. Now we have an E flat, so it's kind of like a flat 5, flat 13, you could say. Sorry, yeah, flat 13, sorry. That'd be a raised 5. So you have that fun little altered note. You have a G. You have a B flat, which is the flat third, which could also be considered, where am I? B flat, sharp 9. What am I thinking? G, yeah, sharp 9 it could be. And then you also have A, F, and D, which is the 9, flat 7, and 5th. So you're getting some fun sounds in there. And then I might hit that note, which is my A flat, and that we talked about is our flat 9. So that's totally legal in this sort of movement. F, then I'll slide into an E, which is my third of C7. So here we go. So what I'm doing right there is just kind of coming back into my C7 arpeggio. You could go. And stay super bluesy if you wanted to. Either would be fine. It's totally up to you. But that's always a fun little line. And I said, man, I hear country players do that a lot. And I never understood how it worked, but now I'm understanding that you're kind of implying that 2-5-1, and you're getting some fun altered sounds as well. So it's good stuff. Yeah. But yeah, I you know, as someone who's streaming live and you want your videos to do as well as possible, what I can tell is like, oh, I didn't send an email out to anybody to know that I was going live. It's been one of those weeks, and just didn't get a chance to doing that. But we're still here. We're still consistent on a Friday. It's 3 weeks in a row. Yeah, and we like to do this stuff. And guys, this is once I teach for about 20 minutes, so it's coming up on 20 minutes now. We just turn it over to the chat, and we want to talk about anything you guys have questions about, particularly, our music education. But let's get opinionated Corey. So ask me any questions you want about gear, about music business, any of that kind of stuff. We have to have fun with that. Let's look at the chat a little bit. Yeah, trying to make those jazzy licks not so hidden. Kevin, good to have you, man. All right. We always like having some folks from the Netherlands. Thanks for being here. All right, Paul from London. Glad you're here. Okay, so how is your sound very well during live? How you set up? So what I'm currently doing with this new setup is the camera is a very inexpensive Sony camera. It's an A6000. I don't think they make them anymore. I like it because it's small and lightweight, and I have my other, like, I could use my other higher end cameras over here, but they're not that much different. And I just like this because I have it on a little boom arm that kind of can swing away, and I can tuck it away when I'm done. So that's my camera that goes into this thing here, which is a switcher by Blackmagic. So I can switch between 2 cameras. I can switch between 4 cameras. I can do a number of different things. It's like a little TV switcher, but I don't really know how to use it all that well. I did effectively get the picture-in-picture happening on a couple live streams. We'll do that again someday. From there, my audio is going into a Zoom. I don't even know what the model is. PD8, Podcast 8 or something like that. It's a little podcasting mixer. And this is the trouble with live streaming with higher end interfaces like the Universal Audio Apollo, which I've used forever, is that they're not designed, they don't talk really well to this software that does the live streaming. And I'm using StreamYard. I've used Ecamm Live in the past. I've used Riverside with interview guests or as a guest on an interview. And these software platforms just want simple interfaces, no more than 2 channels. But what's cool about the Zoom mixer here is it kind of funnels it all into 2 channels. So no matter how many, I think I can have up to 6 guests maybe on live mics, which is pretty great. And it's been really, really easy to use lately. The microphone just plugs into it. The amp is going through an aux box. The aux box is coming out 2 stereo TRS cables into XLRs. And then that's pretty much it. Pretty straightforward. I haven't touched it in 3 weeks. I just put it in a little rack shelf that goes in to my desk. And there it is. And you can see that the autofocus is quite fast on that Sony. All right. Cool. Lots of folks saying, hey. Jason says, yeah, that stuff works great. Worth doing with every inversion of the E minor triad. Absolutely. Yeah, and the thing that I always go back to is that if you're playing over one dominant chord, like a G7, you're thinking, okay, that's G mixolydian, and I've taught this in other videos. And if it's G mixolydian, it's also the same notes as the key of C. Modal purists don't like that teaching necessarily, but what I think of it is every triad is now legal for me in the key of C to play over that G7. Some will sound better than others, but it's a fun exploration for sure. Yeah. All right, we got somebody from France. Aoki dokie. I think that's right. Man, I want to visit France someday. Any pointers to turn scales and arpeggios into context? I still sound scaly-ish. Well, yeah, if you are, if you're doing a lot of the sort of, let's see, we're playing we'll go back to that D minor 7 arpeggio. If you're playing that over a D minor 7, man, this looper, I hate this looper. It doesn't work. It just decides that it doesn't want to work one day. There we go. You have to hit the button very squarely. TC Electronic Ditto X2. I like it because it's got simple functions on it, but man, it's a pain in the butt sometimes. So we got a D minor 7 arpeggio there. Let's say you sound like that. That would be sounding maybe scaly or arpeggio-y. The thing I always talk about is start it from a different scale degree. Maybe start it from, so that's our arpeggio from the root, and then hand it off to a scale. So the scale option there might be a D minor pentatonic. So what we can do is start it from maybe the F, which is the third, minor third in that arpeggio. You can start it from different scale degrees. You can do half-step approaches into your scale tone. That's a really nice one. Because we take that, and we do a half-step approach. Now that sounds a little weird when you do it that way. But what you can do is pick select notes from it. And always go back to a scale tone that's comfortable. Maybe you're... So you can play off of what you already know, which is your bluesy rock scale stuff maybe, and then start to incorporate bits and pieces of those ideas. Now, this kind of teaching and playing is really like the cornerstone of our site, workingclassguitar.com. So we have courses on dominant 7 arpeggios and how to kind of get the most out of those. We just put out last week a course called, or was it 2 weeks ago now? The Ultimate Arpeggio Workout. And it gets you to learn all the arpeggios, and it teaches you ways that you can use them to kind of hopefully get around your question. So hopefully that helps. If you got any questions and you're interested in courses, there's all kinds of links out there on the internet flying around, but you can email us at support@workingclassguitar.com or CoreyCongilio.com. There's a contact form there, and we'll point you in the right direction. Let's make sure that we get these links rocking. A couple things we want to talk about. If you're late to the party here, what we did was, check this out. I'm going to throw this up in the chat. This link that I just dropped in the chat will get you the free PDF for today. And then we do some of this kind of stuff in a really fun course called Blues Beyond the Basics, which is on sale this weekend for a massive discount. Check it out. There's all kinds of cool sort of modern blues approaches, but in this style of teaching that's like not vomiting all of the information at once. All right. Paul says, always like tips on how to practice playing melodic phrases while playing chords. Yeah. If you can do both at the same time, you're a better man than me, because I don't know if I could play chords and melodic phrases, unless you mean like going back and forth between the others. If that's the case, then yeah, that's super fun. Hey, Joe C. says, enjoying your new arpeggio course. I imagine Joe is talking about the Ultimate Arpeggio Workout, which teaches you major, minor, dominant 7, minor 7 flat 5, all over the guitar via one chord progression, and it's pretty fun. Mike G. What's up? Says, I have almost all of your blues courses along with minor, pentatonics, and arpeggios. Is there anything else in your Blues Beyond the Basics that is not covered in others? Let's see. Little bit of diminished stuff. Some rhythm stuff. That course, honestly, Mike, is more about the sprinkling in those ideas. If you feel good about your arpeggios and a lot of that stuff, it's probably not going to help you all that much, except for the fact that there's more challenging performances and solos in them. So I'd consider that. We should have some free previews of the course. I'm not seeing that, but we can do that. Let me, I'll turn that on. What we have the ability to do at our site is to turn on free previews of the certain lessons in the curriculum. Now this says there's free ones. Let's see here. It should be. It's not showing up on the main page here. Either way, we can do that. We can at some point get those happening for you. But if I can put my salesman hat on for a moment, at 71% off, it's worth the backing tracks alone at that price, because I think it's like mid-20s, $23 US, somewhere around there. There you go. Would you share how you'd approach incorporating altered tension on a blues progression? You can do that a number of different ways. We won't spend too much time on that here today, because that's a long lesson. But there's so many ways. And what we did earlier today was we kind of started doing that by giving the D minor 7 approach. Now that's not too altered at all, because there's no altered chord going to the 4. Like there's no G7 sharp 5 or flat 13 kind of a thing, or a flat 9. But you could do so many things in there that we can talk about at another time. But learning the altered scale, learning the what some might call the dominant diminished or the half whole kind of thing. Just to give you a quick idea of that, if you're playing diminished, you can play diminished arpeggio. That's a one place to go. You could do an altered scale, or you could, yeah. That altered scale has an arpeggio attached to it, which would be, in this case, an A flat major minor arpeggio. You can already hear how interesting that is. But sometimes all you need is just a piece of that scale. That's what we would call the altered scale. I like to also look at it as a melodic minor scale up a half step. Some people don't like that. To me, finding that is easier. Geez, what else? Man, you could do a whole tone. That's just running the scale. Yeah, so there's a number of different things. But a diminished approach and altered scale are two of my favorites. So I would look into those more. Okay, let's see here. Paul says, just wondering how to phrasing with triads in a one-chord backing track. Depends on the chord. When you're talking about phrasing, to me, phrasing is always, it's rhythmic driven. And that's usually the problem is like, let's see here. I could take this a number of different ways. One thing I rarely do is if I'm taking a G7 now you could say, well, you could play a G triad over that. That does not sound like anything I want to play. I don't love playing the triad right over top of it, which is why I will try adjacent triads. Some people will try like a E minor, a D minor, and an E minor like we did earlier. That's kind of fun. That's without that F sharp in there, or that G sharp. So what we could do is let's just take that little move right there, which is like E minor to an F triad. Or sorry, E minor to a D minor. You could do something like that. And then finish up with a G blues idea. And you could do a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And you can always create a rhythmic phrase without notes. You can go da 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 dee da da. There's a phrase. Ba 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 ba. What if it's da 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 da? So what I'm doing is I'm finishing the phrase, but the rhythm is driving it the whole time. Boo ba da ba ba da. Let's do that. So then you start getting trickier and going da 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 booba da bat do down. So I'm taking these little phrasing ideas, and what I'm doing is kind of singing in my head, do 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 ba do ba boo do. If I can't play ba ba da ba on my instrument, I can go ba 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 boom 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 ba big ba da da do da da. That's all phrases. That's all rhythm assigned to your notes, and that's what I think of when people ask me about phrasing, are those kinds of ideas. Thank you guys for being also bearing with me. Like, this is on the fly, this is live. I'm just pulling it out of thin air, you know. So thanks for bearing with me. All right. All right. Well, I love having some folks from Scotland here joining us late. Thank you, Alan. Whoa, we got a nice super chat there. I don't know what denomination, what currency that is. 50,000 looks like a lot, but I know it's probably not in US dollars. It's all good. It's not that it's not a lot. It's all appreciated. It's just, it's not 50,000 US. If that was, then I'd be signing off here and my wife and I would go to dinner. But we'll still go to dinner on your super chat regardless. Thank you so much. I appreciate that very, very much. Okay, here's a good one. How you think about the key, example, chord progression of A minor 6 G F. What is the key? Is it A, C, or A minor? To me, that's going to be the key of C, and I also think about it as A minor. Whenever I think of a minor key, I automatically think of its major relative. So if it's an A minor, and I know that it's an A minor because the chords that I'm playing in the song fall under the key of C, then that's what I call it, the key of C. I usually don't, I'm not one of those people that thinks of A minor as the one. A lot of people will call it the one, and then they will call, the next chords their numbers corresponding, but I still like to think about it as major. I just always, it's easier. Well, hey, thanks, Gene. Great instruction and explanations. Your examples are always helpful for understanding. That's what we're here for. That's what we do it for, to make sure that we can provide a little more wisdom and insight into, Oh, right. So Braxel says that the super chat equals $1. Sweet. We'll take $1. It's perfect for the old tip jar. You're the only super chat of the day. So we appreciate it regardless. Definitely everything helps keep the lights on in one way or another. Yeah. All right. Anybody else? The chat is yours. And I deleted my my blues progression from my looper, so I'd have to go back and create another one to jam a little bit more. But thank you so much, Abu Bakar. I don't know how to say that name, but I appreciate you giving me the love about being a teacher. It's something I continue to work at all the time. And I just try to get more knowledgeable and have a better way to explain stuff for you guys. You know, I'm not a March Madness guy, Terry. I can't keep up. But I watched a little bit of that Tennessee-Woolford game last night. I think it's so awesome that they're called the Woolford Terriers. This makes me think of Best in Show. All right. $3.03. It keeps going up. Yeah. All right. Currency is rocking here today. This is great. I love the exchange rate. That's so great. I am more inclined to watch college basketball these days just because I love all basketball. I have to divide my time. I'm up late watching Laker games every other night, and it kind of messes with my clock. So I end up getting up much later than I usually would like to. But yeah, so I can't watch too much sports because it just monopolizes my time. All right, so Kevin says, I'd love to hear more about your singing. Okay. So I've been singing for a long, long time, but it's most of the time been in like a background vocal capacity, as another tool or another arrow in my quiver as being a sideman musician. When somebody says, "Can you sing harmonies?" and you go, "Yeah," there's a greater chance you'll get the gig. So that was always something I worked on a lot. I've had 2 different voice coaches over the years, and another friend that's like not a voice coach but is a world-class opera singer that has given me lots of tips. Yeah, so it's something I keep working on. There's so much to learn about your anatomy and the physiology behind singing that the idea is just try to make yourself the best singer that you can be. I believe some people are born with, gifts in the singing realm more so than others, but you can also learn to sing the best that you can. Being in tune is being in tune. Having good technique is having good technique. How desirable it is for one person or other is up for them to decide. And, whenever I doubt myself as a singer, I have people say, Bob Dylan didn't doubt himself. He's not the most pleasurable singer to listen to. But there you go. Like, he sings like him. And that's all I'm trying to do. So you'll hear music that I think comes out that I sing better and better and better on because I'm working at it. I take lessons. I work on exercises. I warm up before every gig. I have a great warm-up sequence in my phone that I just play through my car, and I drive and do it on the way to the gig. And I've not warmed up certain times, and I've paid the price for it. Yeah. So there we go. Hey, well, sorry, Tom, you'd like to donate, but you're on an alias account because YouTube canceled yours. Oh, sorry. That's a bummer. But there's a number of ways to donate. There should be a Venmo and a PayPal in my description. And you could try that route if you want. If not, just a virtual smile is also good. And Braxel says, I'd like to donate, but they no longer take my PayPal. I do not have the option for whatever reason. PayPal's a tricky beast, and our website we were having some problem, not the website. PayPal was having some problems with folks in some other countries, and they were saying, I don't know if my transaction went through, it hung up. So we just disabled PayPal for a little while just to see if they could get their act together. And what happens now is if somebody wants to buy a course, we send them an invoice at the sale price via PayPal. You fulfill the PayPal invoice, we unlock it in your account, and you're good to go. Ooh, okay. So Alan says, when's your next gig? It's actually tomorrow at the world-famous Underdog here in Nashville. I'm playing an early one Saturday evening, 7:30 to 8:45. And that's the last one on the books for a little while. A lot of the guys in my band have some other things going on, but that's fine because I need a little break to kind of do some other, work in the guitar lesson world and other parts of my musical life. So I'm okay. We'll get back in. We'll have some gigs in April. I have some sideman gigs in April. That'll be fun. And then in May, I think we have another Underdog. And then in June, we'll be back to our residency at Star Rover in Nashville. Hey, all right. We got another super chat. Thank you so much. Really appreciates our slow minor blues melodies. Are touching right to the bone. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate that. That is super helpful. Just tried flat wound today, and it feels weird in a good way. Yeah, I like flat wound strings for certain things. I've had them on a few different guitars over the years, and it's usually like sort of gig dependent is what I use flat wounds for. If I want like a really old, 50s or a, Wrecking Crew guitar player kind of thing, I'll use that. I'll especially use flat wounds if I have to play. They sound great on Jazz Masters, Telly, if I have to play. For that kind of stuff, it's nice to get a cool plunky sound as opposed to the brighter round wound. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Kevin, did I bring this up? Yeah, singing is a deep topic. We all doubt ourselves. I'm working on it too. That's the biggest part is the confidence factor and just going for it. Being able to go, ha, and having this sound come out from you. And I struggle with me, like a lot of times I'll sing back here, and what I'm learning is that's me actually being not confident and not letting it come out like that. You know what I mean? Like, hey, everybody, let's have some fun, yeah. And just letting it rip and letting it kind of go, pew, and learning how to direct that sound over top of your soft palate, and I'm learning things about how to do certain things with my mouth, like letting my mouth be relaxed down here, so when I get here, the sound just comes out, and I'm not going like this. There's all these different tricks you can learn. It's amazing. All right, so, Paul says, I got your course on 30 modern country licks. That sounds like a True Fire course. I love how all licks sound like trying to use them in my blues. Yeah, that's part of what I am. I'm not a country guitar player. We had Jason Laughlin on the chat. That is a country guitar player, and he plays the traditional stuff so well. But what I wanted to try to do is show people how I kind of incorporate it into my bluesy playing. Like you might hear me play something in E, then I might go, and that's all from country. Now some of that's bluesy. But what if I'm going? So I kind of ripped off some of that stuff over the years and put it into my own playing. So there you go. And that's kind of my approach to country. I've kind of leaned away from country quite a bit, but it stuck with me, especially the hybrid picking. All right. Well, we're coming up on 45 minutes. Guys, this was a great lesson. A really great time hanging with everybody. And I'll edit off the beginning of this so folks can jump in and start to get it right away. Coming in late, Mr. Stauffer from Texas Blues Alley. If you like your SRV-driven blues and more, he can help you just like I can. Kevin says, your tone is awesome today. Well, thanks. It's no different than what we did for the past few live streams. I'm just so happy with this cheap rig that I've hooked up with this Zoom recorder. What's cool about this Zoom mixer is I can also record directly to it. It runs on batteries. I can go take it somewhere, and I could do a live podcasting kind of thing from somewhere, a live lesson, So it sounds maybe better than the $2,300 Universal Audio box I was using. It's just those Universal Audio boxes, although they're great, they're just not designed, in my opinion, for streaming like this. You got to jump through some hoops, and I don't have the time to jump through hoops. Anthony says, I love the single. That means so much. Thank you so much. We worked really hard on it, and we got more music coming out. Got some fun covers that I'm doing that'll be attached to an EP this year, and the next one is coming out April 2nd. So we're going to be releasing some new stuff fun. Quick demo of the Bigsby. Yeah. About as much as I use a Bigsby, but I can't play without one. That's not true. So I usually don't really dive too much with it. If I'm getting frisky, I might. That one pulled it out of tune. The G string went out. Now, my 335 and pretty much every other guitar, this is so new, I haven't worked on it very much. I probably kind of can lube the nut up a little bit. But yeah, kind of went nuts on me a little bit there. But generally, this guitar's been staying in tune pretty well. But I don't use it so aggressively that it goes nuts. I did put all Bigsby's, I put a spring that I get from Reverend. You can find them on Reverb, and it makes it a little bit looser feeling. This one is not my favorite feeling Bigsby. The problem with Bigsby's is they all kind of feel different. Like my 67 335, the Bigsby on it is great. What I should do is maybe just swap it out. That's an idea. I didn't think of that until right now. See if that helps. Yeah, but generally, I have no problem with Bigsby's. A lot of people do. It's given me a little bit of an issue today. But yeah, there you have it. I just like them. I don't care if they stay in tune. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's live. It just always worked for me. Let's see here. Oh, Braxel says, yeah, the solo you did on the single is awesome. Thank you. That was really fun because we had a little bit of a different approach with that. I said, hey, we're going to make this solo longer than you would probably make it because it's a blues rock song. Why not, right? So we did like the first chorus, and I had this idea where, and I can, it's one of the few solos I play note for note live. I usually almost never do that, but I think it's a good solo. So thank you for that. But it's cool. I start out with this thing where I'm playing over an E7, and what I do is I play a D on the third string, and then I play the first string open, and I kind of bend them up to each other. Then I go, as it goes to the 4 chord. Then it goes to a minor, and I go. Because it's like. Then I go. Something like. From that point, my producer friend and I, he said, man, he goes, what if we did some kind of like, almost like a Edgar Winter Frankenstein kind of thing? And I was like, really? What will we do? And he's like create a line, and then we'll harmonize to it. And I was like, okay, I could do that. And then we went. Then it goes to the 4 chord, and I go. Then I repeat that same line over the minor chord, but I do it here. So more repetition. And I do that, all pentatonic. And what I did there in the studio is when you hear this that's actually 2 takes of me playing it at the same time. I'm literally playing the same lick with a slight variation, so it sounds a little chorused. It sounds a little bit like there's some weird delay happening, but it's me playing the same part twice. And I did a lot of doubling on the, because there's a, I might even do a harmony in there. I can't remember what I did, but yeah, and you usually don't like double track a solo like that, where you're playing the same thing on top of the other thing. That's the same thing. But it ended up being kind of a really cool sound. And it's got probably 2 overdrives and a fuzz on it at the same time. I don't remember what it was. Yeah. All right. Indeed. Well, thanks, everybody. You guys have been so kind in the chat. Thank you for the super chat. I'm going to jump off because we're just about closing in on an hour here. And don't forget to check the links in the chat, more so in the description, where you'll find the sale on Blues Beyond the Basics, 71% off, big discount on that, as well as the free PDF of the 2 licks that I showed you today to kind of jazz up your blues a little bit. All right, so find those, grab them. If you're not enrolled as a student at workingclassguitar.com, it will prompt you to do that. Just create an account for free. If you are a member, sign in and then get that link, and it'll just take you right to it. It should be no problem. If you got any questions, hit us on the customer support at workingclassguitar, and we'll get right back to you. Oh, quick, Kevin says, favorite fuzz. I love the Mythos Argo, and I love the old DOD Carcosa. Find it for like $80 on Reverb all day long. It is a really solid, really solid multi-use fuzz. It's got a lot of different sounds in it, but it's a sleeper, and I like to point people to that. I did just buy, I bought the Brown Amplification T4. That's a good fuzz, like a really usable big muff. I've never found like big muffs work for me, but this one is really, really good. And I like that one a lot. What else did I buy? I just bought a old JHS kilt that you can get into fuzz land. I haven't even plugged it in yet. I'll be sitting there on the couch late at night, like many of us. When it strikes me, I'll be like, I think I want to shop for that pedal. And somehow the used $169 pedal doesn't hurt too bad. But Braxel says, I love R2R electric fuzzes. Yeah, great stuff. Chris is awesome. I own one of his treble booster. I was going to do this whole video on treble boosters that I never did. So yeah, but I like him and I want to support him. And I like his Zonk machine thing is really good. Yeah, he makes great stuff. Absolutely. And the old parts for sure. That's why that stuff gets expensive. Hey, Vito stopping in. We're about ready to head out, Vito, but thanks for saying hello. Trying to think and more fuzzes. There was another one. A really small builder who lives in Maryland that I've known in my Pennsylvania days. His name's Sean. He has a company called Riveter Electric. He's making sort of NOS, type fuzzes. He's doing a great job just getting his company off the ground. But fuzz is like the rabbit hole of all rabbit holes. Oh, I forgot. You can't see it too well. That's my cup in the way. You can't see it. Sorry. The Cornerstone Nero. Actually, I have that plugged in. Shoot, we're here. Forget killing the stream. Let's just keep going. So the Nero fuzz. I don't know, guys, if I can get this on camera. I'm going to try. Let me get my notepad out of the way. It's right here. You can barely see it. It's right next to this Boss MD200. But what's cool about it is that you can do kind of two fuzz settings in one pedal, which I think is really, really cool. So now, turn it up a little bit. I dig that. That sounds really good. With a little bit of spittiness. And I can adjust that. If I turn it all the way down, the bias, I'm assuming that's the bias, making it kind of do that more spitty thing. But then what you can do is change to the other voice, they call it. And you can make it more compressed. Yeah, it's quiet too. The chops aren't hanging today. Woo! Okay, yeah, fun. But yeah, I like, this is a fun little pedal. Pretty cool. Yeah, I dig that. It's a smart build by Emilio and the crew. All right. Oh, as soon as you start playing some gear, the questions come. The Dunlop JHF1 suits my needs for now, especially with an added univibe. Sure. Dunlop. Let me look at that real quick. Dunlop JF. What was it called? That was because I like to be up on my fuzzes. Dunlop JF. Oh, it's the Hendrix one. Oh, perfect. That's JH. Yeah, fuzz face all day long. It's killer. If that's the sound you're going for. The Nero is great. I have it, but still like the MK2 from Macaris that took me 45 years to get, and the R2R PK3. Man, you are a fuzz aficionado, man. I respect that. Awesome. For blues and hard blues, what is more preferable, the Boss SD1 or the Boss BD2? Oh, fantastic question. So Robert Keeley told me that the Boss, the blues driver, was their attempt to kind of get the sound of like a Fender Super Reverb in a box. I don't mind a blues driver. It can be a little spiky for me, but I don't know if I would like that for hard blues. The problem, now, I would probably choose the BD2 over the SD1 in general, because the SD1 has more of that sort of like tube screamer feel to it, which isn't my favorite. And I have that here in the Super Rodent by Keeley. You can hear that guy jump on. Let me turn this off. And the SD1 is generally very nosy and mid-rangey. So what we're doing here is I'm going to put it in full SD1 mode. So you're just hearing the SD1 by itself. Crank the gain a little bit. Maybe I'm eating my words. That sounds pretty good. I crank the drive. That's pretty awesome. I like this pedal a lot because you can go into the Rat drive section. Here's the Rat. Actually, I have it the other way. I like the SD drive in the Rat tone. So I like the flexibility of the Keeley stuff because with this 4-in-1 series, you can kind of get some different tone shaping happening. So yeah, that's a solid. Maybe the SD1 is the call, but why not both? If you had both, then that would be great. And the cool thing about Boss pedals is they're inexpensive and sound great. Ooh, okay. Well, long wait list for a Tone Bender Mark II. I never really warmed up to tone benders for me. And yeah, Vito, I saw this and I was like, yep, an SD1 in front of a Marshall. Because it's like a tube screamer in front of a Marshall, which is great because you get some nice mids to cut through and it's nice and chewy. It'll sound good. Braxel has the TB Tone Bender 2 Waza Tone Bender. Yep. Oh, cool. Yeah. I bet you that's, again, not my flavor all the time of fuzz, but I like all pedals. I haven't tried the Panoverb yet. I'd like to. Just because, just because I'm interested in anything Fender amp-wise, I'm always curious about, and that sounds like a pretty interesting design for sure. Were you ever a Tele guy? What made you switch to using a PRS? Lots and lots of stories there. So I've had loads and loads of Teles. And what I've gravitated towards so let's say this. When you're a side musician like I've been for years, you have to have a stable of instruments to pull the tones together. And I had everything as inexpensive as the company Vintage, made by Trev Wilkinson. A couple $100 I paid for it and tricked it out with nice pickups, and that was a cool Tele. I've had things as high end as Tom Anderson, James Trussart. I've had some custom made Teles. And they're all gone because a lot of times for a Tele sound, I use my old SG Junior, and it sounds like a beefy fat Tele. Now, I would someday like to get maybe a vintage Tele, but I've never really found any that I'm loving that made me say, I need to own that and I need to play a Tele. Another thing, too, is the way my style of playing, and this comes from getting older and just committing to what you want to do, is I don't play longer scale guitars very well. I can't decide on a string gauge, and by a longer scale, I mean Fender scale. So you won't see me playing Strats or Teles very much. It's just the it's just the way the guitar feels. Shorter scale, Gibson scale guitars, just the sound is a little spongier for me. I like it, and I don't know. I also just like to be a little different and not play a Strat or a Tele. I want to play a guitar that not a lot of other people might be playing sometimes. And by that, I mean, like, when I was really... If I didn't buy this guitar, I would still be playing my vintage 335 on the regular. But this has beaten it out. But again, shorter scale. And then your question about the PRS. PRS I played because I was touring a lot with country rock artists. And for one thing, the PRS like artist team is the best to work with. If you say, hey, here's what I'm doing, I'd like to see if I could borrow a guitar to try on this gig. They'll send it to you, and then, you know, it gets to a point where they're like, hey, just keep it. You know, you're advertising that guitar just by playing it. And that's very kind of them. So they've sent me a bunch over the years, and the thing I like about PRS is the consistency in which they make them. They're all very, very consistent, and they keep getting better and better and better, and they're just lovely folks to work with. Now, the problem I have with PRS, and I've said this to them, I said, you won't see me playing your guitars much these days because you don't make mine. I don't want to play my David Grissom a lot or a Mark Lettieri guitar, or that's their guitars. Like, that's fine. Anybody else can play a DGT or a Mark Lettieri. To me, it's close to being my guitar, but my guitar has air in it. My guitar is semi-hollow, and they don't really do anything that works for me in that department. If they came to me and they said, we want to build you your perfect 335 and have a PRS name on it, I'd be like, okay, let's talk about it. That's not going to happen anytime soon. So I'm not, too worried about it. Now, that being said, I do have my PRS DGT that I had custom made, and it's a great workhorse of a guitar. I think a DGT is probably the most versatile one out there because it's 2 humbuckers, trem, you can split the pickups. 594s are great, but I just think David knocked it out, 25, 30 years ago with that design, and that's what's great about it. Yeah, and he said, I see you using PRS a lot in your courses, just for the sound that I need at that particular time. And we're guitar players, we cycle through instruments, and some of them are gone, some of them are still around. But ultimately, I'm just using what helps me get to the sound in my head the fastest. And Gibson style instruments have been that. And I am really, Collings didn't give this to me. I paid a hefty price for this. I sold 3 guitars to buy this guitar. And I was literally disappointed when I played it on the gig, and it destroyed everything that I played. And that's saying a lot. So Anthony asked, closed or open back cabinets, and why? There's a few different things you could say about this. I generally use open back cabinets in most club type gigs because it spreads the sound around. Closed backs are nice on bigger stages sometimes because it's a lot more focused. It's a lot more focused because of the direction of the air. It's not leaking out the back. Also, if I'm in a situation I don't want to kill the drummer, I'll use closed back cabinets. I was touring with a drummer, and I had 2 open back big cabinets, and he's like, man, you're blowing me away. And I'm like, sorry, not much I can tell you. So that's when I kind of would use either or. And it's a reason why you see old 412 closed back Marshalls on big stages, because they help direct the sound as opposed to you losing it behind you. Yeah, I mean, you could play a Mustang, but I don't want to play a Mustang, and I also don't love single coil pickups all that much. I just don't. Here's the thing: I don't sound good on them. I can make them sound good, but I don't like the way I sound. As soon as I play a Strat or a Tele, I try to sound like what I think that guitar should sound like. When I play this guitar, it sounds like me, and I think that's the case. Now, somebody say, well, you're kind of evoking some Larry Carlton and Robin Ford sounds. Great. So, great. I through osmosis, my heroes are coming out. But I just don't connect with single coil pickups like I thought I would for all those years. What is cool about the R2R Vintage Wah is the unit is separate from the pedal. Yeah. Yeah, he makes really, really great stuff. Oh, no, not at all. I think a DGT it's my favorite guitar in the PRS line. Absolutely. Yeah, and the DGT SE is incredible. It's one of the best more budget guitars, somebody will get on me saying, it's not a budget guitar. It's less than a core, and it's great. I don't do, hey Marco, I don't do one-on-one guitar lessons. I feel like my teaching, I think I do best in larger, broad brush strokes during video. I don't do one-on-one lessons. So, but thanks for asking. I'm always flattered. All right, so Lamar says, I'm a fan of doing whatever works, but it seems like Nashville is completely into using the shoulder of the pick these days. Who brought that to Nashville? I'm just going to say this. Fuck it with Nashville and thinking everything comes through the Nashville filter. It's fucking stupid. And sorry for the language. I'm just so tired of people thinking that the gospel is this town. It's not. It's just a ridiculous thought. I'm so freaking sick of it. And I live here. It's just because that people that have been doing it for a living are now showing you what they do. I've been using the shoulder of a Fender style pick since I was 13. 13. I read it in the back of a magazine. Yes, Stevie Ray Vaughan did it. And yeah, and that's when I started doing it. I think it sounds better and feels better over the strings. That's the shoulder. Here's the point. It's too rigid. Point, shoulder. Yeah, I've been doing it for 30 years. Let's just say that. Yeah, and again, like I'm just so tired of like Nashville this, Nashville that. And it's because there's able to be a spotlight on this town now because people have cameras and the sort of there's people that pontificate and say like this is the way it is, this is the way it is. It's the way that makes you happy is the way it is. NB says, I'm the same, but with humbuckers. Haven't found anything I like playing. Well, that's another challenging thing too, is like these are the most these are very, very low output pickups. I don't even know the measurements. I don't care. I just know that when I play, it's super balanced. Listen to that bridge pickup. Not offensive at all. Really nice balance. Yeah. So the lower the output pickup, you might enjoy more. Revstar is a great guitar, Marco. Says, even though I have arguably better guitars in my collection, it's a good one. Shauna says, I love the guitar teachers. Such cool info. We do our best. Yeah, Braxel, it seems like everyone is focused on Nashville. Well, that's because all the guitar players move here. It's like the Olympics. So every guitar player who's pretty good from every town comes here and then says, hey, I can't get any gigs. Or the gigs I get pay shit. You know, it's like, yeah, because it sucks for that here. Forgive me for drinking in the mic. But yeah, if you want to play country and classic rock covers for 4 hours with no break downtown, you'll probably make $400, you know, but you might play excruciatingly bad music with players that are different every gig. You never know. Gene says, tried the core but settled on the McCarty 594 SE and custom S2 Custom 24. Yeah, cores are pretty. You don't want to leave them in the house. No, the SE line it's gotten so much better. The 594 is an excellent SE. I demoed one of those on the channel. It sounded really good. And the S2 core is quite good as well. Yeah, P90s are a nice step in between humbuckers and single coils. Must be a lot of cool jam sessions in Nashville. You'd think. There's a few blues jams that are okay, but it's not like, you know, Keith Urban is coming to a blues jam. Like, it doesn't happen. It's a weird town, and it's just gotten even weirder since I've moved here, which is 13 years now. Like this month, it's been 13 years I've been in Nashville. And if I could do what I do in other places, I can. But I don't know where I was going with that. Yeah. Let's edit that out. I just looked at the chat and got distracted. Seems to have figured out manufacturing for consistent better than any other big manufacturers. Not always my thing, but always feel good. Yeah, I totally agree, Lamar. Not everything from PRS is great for me. Like the NF53 is a really cool instrument. It's his take on a telly. I thought the bridge position was great. And then I was playing it, and they said, well, we made the neck pickup more like a Silver Sky Strat neck pickup because they said, well, because nobody likes a neck pickup on a telly. And I was like, what? And that made me not like the guitar because it sounded too stratty on the bridge, on the neck pickup. I just didn't care for it. I wanted it to sound kind of warm and buttery like a telly pickup, and it didn't. But the one thing they did do great on the NF53 is the neck. It feels like a real kind of older telly neck. I freaking love that. Oh man, you guys really picked it up. This has been great. So if you joined us late, we did a lot of fun teaching on some stuff to play to jazz up your blues with arpeggios and some substitution stuff. You can grab those links for the free stuff in the description, as well as 71% off of a course I call Blues Beyond the Basics, kind of dipping a toe in the water of more interesting stuff to play over your blues and your rock blues type stuff. Okay, last call. I got to jump off and get some dinner. But you guys have been awesome today. This has been great. A little smaller crowd, but a mightier one, which is awesome. But yeah, we will we'll be back next Friday, somewhere between 3 and 4 p.m. Eastern. 4 and 5 p.m. Eastern. And we'll do our best. But thanks everybody for hanging out. I'll edit the front half of this so when you go find it again, it'll go right to the lesson. So thanks everybody. You're the best. And we'll see you next Friday at some time. Join us. Take care.